that work for them. And I've always been on boards and involved in, community efforts that were close to my industry, but I wasn't ever involved in anything that was close to my family. And I think it made the original mistake of going, I'll get involved with my HOA, and then I can help steer our community and our neighborhood, and we have a community pool, and it'll just be a wonderful opportunity. And came quickly. Well, actually, when I got on that board, COVID broke out. Our pump house for the pool caught on fire, and it was pretty much the worst opportunity. And there wasn't a lot of steering, and there was just a lot of anger. And I didn't feel like I was getting to do a lot for my community. It was just kind of a play. The HOA meetings became a place to vent and bring up the angry, and I it wasn't the community involvement or the effort I wanted to put forth to affect my family. And around that time, I think former now employee of the school had come to me and said, they're looking for people to serve on the school board for MPA. And I hadn't really considered education. I always thought, well, then I need to have an education background. I knew how to identify weeds growing in people's rocks for an HOA, but how do you identify when the right school work and the right programs are in place? And the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. The more I talked to this person with the school, the more I realized that that this was exactly the right fit. It's community involvement. It's a chance to be involved in my child's education. It's a chance to help a community for a lot of different people, both the teachers, the educators, the staff, and ultimately the children. And at the time, there was a middle school to come online. We were managing our way through the tail end of COVID, and we were going through the process of hiring a new principal. And those were all big challenges. And I don't like to sit idly by on boards just listening to minutes reports and the easy stuff. I love that there were challenges and they had potential for great outcome. And it made sense, and I ran. I was up against this is probably more than you wanted, Christine, but I remember I was running against two mothers, and I thought, there's no way they're putting dad on the board. They want somebody with either that appreciation for more time with their children or what have you. I don't know what it was, some stereotype in my head that they would never pick me, and they did, and I won that election. And that was at that point, knowing that now the community had chosen my involvement, it became extremely important that I see through on those projects and participate in those projects. And we have been extremely lucky and blessed to have amazing people that led us through the different phases. And sure, there were some, I wouldn't call them board missteps. I think they were just transitions that didn't work out. But at the end of the day, and as I'm winding down my time on this board, I look at it and I go, that middle school's online. It's amazing. My daughter is now attending it for the first year. We have great leadership through Robin and the team she's built in the staffing office. And we have amazing teachers. And the biggest thing I'll walk away from with all of this is that I have a different understanding and heart for our educators and what they do and what they have to go through and how hard COVID had to be. It was, like doing your job through a plastic bubble. I can't imagine, what they had to go through. And then even the rebound time afterwards, where we're still trying to get our kids' educations back online fully, not just us as a state, as a nation. So that's my reasoning. And hopefully Christine's in her living room. So,
Let's see. Yay! Also good because, man, it was like, can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay, dangerous to be driving and trying to fuddle with a mute button in what is now a hailstorm. So,
Oh no.
awesome. Thanks, Justin. And I was wondering if next meeting, Elizabeth, I know you're kind of probably like you volunteer and you're voluntold probably all at once, but would you be willing to share just a little bit about like, why do you keep saying yes to this at the next meeting? Hang on one second. Can you look around back there? There's some pizza and there's food here. Sorry. This was like case in point of when I was like, I don't know about this role, everyone. Okay, I want to share just a brief story to pile on to what you're sharing, Justin, and then to start with the MPA mission statement. I put it in like the appendix of the agenda materials of just the full mission statement, vision statement, and I just thought that might be good for us to read too briefly. And I'm still battling to get that agenda, so one second. But I want to share a story to like pile on for like kids and why kids, why education, why the future, like why does this matter? And my story I was thinking about is years ago we had just had our second daughter, and my husband and I were like, you know what would be really cool for us to do? Let's go cross country skiing. We'll pull two little kids in a chariot while we're skiing, in the middle of the cold mountains. And I don't know why we thought that was a good idea, but we did. And for some reason, like we had to go to the downtown REI to rent cross country skis and all the stuff. And somehow, like while we were renting the cross country skis, I was like, this was a mistake. Why are we here? And the guy who's renting skis, who you're kind of like, he's a like cool ski rental guy, and I'm like, he's like, man, what you guys are doing is super noble. And I was like, what do you mean noble? And he was like, you're raising the next generation, and that is such a noble cause. And like that has always stuck with me. And I thought, really like it applies for us here too. Like what we're doing is noble. We're building up the next generation, and and it's such a noble cause. And so I think it's really important to remember. Okay, let me see if I can get the agenda open. Okay, so I'm going to read the mission, and I'm just going to read all of this, and we won't really talk through all of it, but and then we always read just kind of that one sentence of the mission statement. But I thought all of it might be helpful just to kind of remind us of, and this is in the strategic plan. This is like in the first page or two of the full strategic plan. So it's the mission of Monastery Peaks Academy to achieve high standards of individual excellence by guiding the whole student through an exceptional learning experience based on the educational philosophy of Maria Montessori. Montessori philosophy and methodology is based on the education of the whole child. This not only includes cognitive and academic development, it concentrates on the emotional, physical, social development of the child. The children become self-learners and structure their own curriculum, working with and absorbing information at the time they are ready. The children cultivate their own natural desire to learn. So the vision of Montessori Peaks Academy, it's an educational journey preparing each child to uniquely contribute to our shared community. And then guiding principles. As a community, we uphold core values of kindness, integrity, respect, effort, and safety by honoring the individual child, championing a culture of excellence, preparing lifelong learners. Girls, can you go somewhere else? Go. Creating responsible world citizens, adapting the Montessori method to the time and place, and then core strategic initiatives, community identity, educational excellence, exceptional educators, community engagement, financial stewardship, and enhanced facilities. And our strategic plan is kind of centered around all of those. And so as we go through each meeting, I want to just bring in these elements just to remind us of what our strategic plan is. And then, of course, a great quote from Maria Montessori: an education, which is very visionary, an education capable of saving humanity is no small undertaking. It involves the spiritual development of man, the enhancement of his value as an individual, and the preparation of young people to understand the times in which they live. And I think we could all say, that whether it was the last week or the last year or the last decade, we are in no small undertaking of the times that we live. And but we are helping build an education, capable of saving humanity, which is really inspiring. So okay, so with that, that's kind of the opening that I wanted to start with. Does anyone have any initial reactions to any of that or things with the Montessori education that have been like inspiring to share?
I've said, thanks for that and that detail. That's very well said, and I think it's good context to everything we're doing here. Very much appreciated.
Yeah. Awesome. Sorry. Okay, so let's go to principal's report.
Okay. All right. So district updates, we have a principal cohort meeting once a month with charter principals, and that's where I get most of my information. Sorry. All right. I'm having issues. Sorry. I've got two phones and I didn't know which one was going off. Obviously, the district's been through a lot this week, first of all, so that all happened after our meeting. I actually feel for our superintendent for how much she's gone through over the past 2 years, especially last week's incident at Evergreen High School. But before all that happened, what they originally thought 50 to 60 million in budget cuts, it's looking like 45 million now. And that's what she's been tasked with. So she will be cutting the district budget by 45 million. It is in no way expected to impact charter schools this year. However, there will be, it sounds like they're trying to go after the central office more, which is services for us, right? Which is all schools, right? So that could result in decreased services for all schools, including charters, right? But also neighborhood schools. And we're anticipating, this hasn't been said, that our purchase services costs will go up because everything's going to go up. But again, this year, we're not expecting an impact in the per pupil revenue, which is our primary, well, almost our only source of revenue. It was already agreed upon, so that will stay as the governor originally planned for. We'll see about the following year. They always say they're not going to impact education, and we can only wait and see if that's going to be true. For school updates, we actually, again, it's been a great start to the year. I feel like things seem more and more normal as compared to directly after COVID. So it really is, I know, wonderful for all staff to see that, and I'm sure parents as well. We have some big celebrations. So I meant to get the number from our read plan coordinator and I didn't, but we had a high number of students that exited from read plans, which is really exciting. So, when a student's identified for a read plan, interventions immediately start. So we have a team of 2 interventionists and they work with those students as well as the classroom teachers. And just when you see a high number like that, that means your intervention model is effective. I'm not allowed to tell you the numbers of the school performance framework. So that's the SPF. That's like our report card that we get from the state. It's embargoed right now, but I can say that it's going up by another almost 3 points. So that's within 2 years, it's gone up about 17 points, which is pretty impressive. So good kudos to the entire community. I didn't know until I went to the principal meeting. I hadn't even heard this, and they were just calling out celebrations, and they're going to honor the MPA middle school, which is 6th through 8th grade. So keep in mind, that's also our 6th grade. They're going to be recognized for CMAS, ELA, and math academic growth at the October Jeffco School Boards meeting. And once I have more information, I'll let you know. It's, because you can definitely attend. When they do these kinds of things, it's not like they have a 2-hour celebration and give you a big gold trophy, just so everybody knows that. It's more, but it is like they'll give a, compliments to, they'll pick certain things to highlight, and our growth really stood out, especially considering it was a new middle school model too. A lot of middle schools are not showing that kind of growth, right? It's an interesting age to work with. So very exciting. Staff updates, Beth Anderson, she had already resigned from MPA before, but sometimes our people that resign come back to work part-time, and she did for a number of years, but she did just recently resign from her part-time contractor position. She was helping us with some instructional coaching, and we'll miss her, but, understand that, life moves in phases, and I think she was ready to move on to another phase, but we really honor her many years of service. And we wish her the best and hope she'll always stay in touch with us. We had already hired on Dakota Prosh as an additional coach because Beth was part-time and we needed more coaching. So Dakota's been doing part of that coaching. And then Aaron Wallard and I have worked together to split up any other coaching we need. We need because we won't hire another person this year. We'll wait till next year. And I really want to move to a full-time coach because that's what we need. And then we have a new assistant, Brianna Walker, joined us in Laura's classroom. So I think things are going well in there. Facility, not much, just BAM. We're still waiting on BAM internet to be finalized. And I'm sure once it is, it'll be fantastic. but so far, it's not quite finalized yet. Our IT guy's working on it. Let's see. So our kind of the big to do, and this is something the board has to consider too. On Monday, I will have a draft to the accountability committee of a proposed UIP plan. At the same time, I'll be sending it to our staff teams to review, because we have to give it as a charter school. We have to submit it to our supervisor by the 13th of October. So that means we need to, first of all, the process I take, I'm not a leader who just assigns the goal. We analyze the data, the teams give input, and then we craft any changes we want to make to existing goals, or if we want to create a new goal based on that input. So we'll be keeping some of the same goals as last year, but in math in particular, we're going to really hone in because our ELA went up a lot, and now we're after math. That's our focus. So again, I committed to myself. I'll have that draft to accountability by 9/22, so we can just get any input accountability might have. But that will give me time to let staff have a week to maybe talk with their teams about it, make sure we have it worded the way everybody wants to. Because the district due date is October 13th, that means we're somehow going to have to decide if I'm just going to send it out and just see if anybody has input, or if we need to have a special meeting to approve it. I'm not positive we have to vote on it. Justin, do you remember? Or Ted? I think we might have voted last year, but I'm not positive. I don't know if that actually happens.
We could look at the minutes and confirm.
Okay, yeah, because I can't remember, because that is more operations, but that's something that we submit to Colorado Department of Education. So I don't know. You can check on that.
Might just be a review with the board.
And it just says
yeah,
review.
just a review without a vote. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'd really want to do a review just to make sure anybody, just to clear up any questions. But that it really was hours of data analysis by the staff. So enrollment. So the one thing, we'll be talking about this on finance committee too, our projected enrollment is 420. We're sitting at 411 right now. And it's not a bad that we were at 401.5. 420 was like a projected figure. Enrollment across Jeffco is going down, charters are going up, and ours went up as well. We went from 401 to 411, but that's the reality. That's where we're sitting. So that's 9 students less right now. We'll see in the next 2 weeks, because we only have 2 weeks, if we can increase by a couple, because we have a couple more we've scheduled tours with. But then we'll be ready once that number is finalized. So October 1st is when the district says that's it. Whoever attends school that day, that's the number of kids that we count you for. And then you get a certain amount of money per person, which is approximately a little over $11,000 per student. So that's where we're sitting there. I have to say our new enrollment secretary has been amazing. And she's really been proactive. Our upper L numbers are the highest they've been since when I came on, or before. And really our lower L numbers too. I think we were just thinking maybe homeschool would increase a little more and maybe have a couple more in middle school. And that hasn't happened right now. So we'll see what happens with that. So that is the principal's report. Beyond that, on there, I just included some dates and things. Oh, community update. Yeah, we've had, big thank you to the PTA, because really back to school night and the back to school social, they were there, as well as the board of back to school night. And then the social was great. We of course had an afternoon storm, but we made it through most of the night, and it was a lot of fun. We have a choir night of the Rockies coming up. And then of course, fall conferences are starting in fall break. So that's really the focus for October. So teachers are really busy right now, even some of them have already started their conferences. And I think that's it. Yeah, beyond just important dates. Are there any questions regarding the principal report? Okay. I tried to keep it concise, Christine. So.
Yeah, I like it. And then maybe you and I, because my understanding then for the UIP, it's due like 2 days basically before our next board meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, so we just have to figure out if we just want to send it out, and I can clarify questions. There's so much staff analysis that goes into this that typically we just get questions on it, if there's questions. But
maybe you and I, we probably have a meeting next week, I would assume.
Yeah, I can
so you don't have to check now, but so we could talk through it maybe when we meet next week. That sounds good.
Perfect.
Good. Okay. Let's see. I think next on the agenda, we could do budget next.
Do we want to do safety? 10 minutes of
That's
safety?
it. Yeah. Next on the agenda was safety. So unless you wanted to go.
No, but Jen can have the budget stuff, because the budget keeps us safe.
Yeah,
So-
it's true.
Jen is a big part. I just wanted to, so first of all, Tom, are you on accountability? Are you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I invited you. I wasn't sure with your new work schedule so I invited you. There's
I will be there. I'm probably going to be maybe 15 minutes late.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll be there.
I think, well, I'm really glad you're going to be there, and I'm glad you work for the security safety team now, because, after any shooting in the country, I inevitably get a couple of emails from parents about school safety. And actually, out of our entire community, I only received 2, and it's, this happens, right? So, you hear something like that, and you're a parent, and well, whether you're a parent or not, it's all upsetting, right? What I find is people don't, even with some of the things we put in the newsletter, people don't really have a good understanding of the safety we have in place. We are a Jeffco school. Jeffco's the best in the nation, in my opinion. I've worked with that team for 20 plus years. Unfortunately, they're the best because we were the first that went through all this. We have protocols in place that follow all district protocol, and we do all the drills. And I would say the first year I came on board, I did have some safety concerns with the school, because I don't know if you remember, but in the beginning of every day, tons of adults were entering the building, not rapturing in. And that's why we kind of have a more closed door policy in the morning than we used to. But we've done a number of things, like they didn't have a panic button. So we've installed panic buttons. So when the schools get them automatically from the district. We had to purchase ours. But when we go into a lockdown, there's buttons we have. We don't tell people where they are, except the people that are need to know where they are. It's an alert that goes directly to law enforcement. So we've taken steps, and I don't have hours to go into the details right now. But we really do follow all district protocol. I'd say with the exception of not having a double door over at middle school, which would cost us, we can't afford it right now. So what I need from you guys is, first of all, I want to make sure that I'm always speaking for the community when I field these questions. I think most families are feeling very safe. I didn't really hear anything except from 2 people. One person said, they just didn't think we had any security and safety, which is absolutely not true. But just obviously needs more information, right? So I invited him to come to accountability, and I'm going to start doing a bigger component than I usually do. I always address the accountability, but I'm providing more details. But I had another parent that requested metal detectors, and I have my own opinions on that, and so do the rest of the staff, for that matter. But I just want to make sure that I'm speaking for the board when I speak for things, right? Like, if what I'd like to do when somebody's doing that is say, first, come to accountability and learn about safety, and second, that's something I can bring up the board. Like right now, I can say somebody's brought up metal detectors. I'm not saying I'm for it, because I don't know if I'll be in an elementary school that has metal detectors ever. But I just wanted to make sure you were aware, and just wanted to know your thoughts. We only have 10 minutes for my section on this, but I don't want to just speak for myself. I want to make sure. I just want to hear thoughts, if there are any. Like when we get comments like this, or people are reaching out, do you guys want metal detectors on all the doors? We can't afford it right now, but.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It almost, to me, puts forth an atmosphere of fear and terror more than security, especially for kids that are as young as ours, especially for elementary school kids to be like, and now we're going to check your backpacks to see if you have metal in them. It to me puts forward an atmosphere of fear rather than security, to say, we're doing this for safety, or are we doing this because we're scared? That's my thoughts off the top of my head. Like high school, it makes a little more sense.
Kind of. Yeah.
And I know a lot of the places, like, it's more dangerous for the younger kids to have weapons. But to me, if I have my son walking into a place where we're like, and now we're going to check you for guns.
Yeah.
It's more of this, I have to be scared that my best friend has a gun in his backpack,
Right.
versus we're trying to be safe and ensure that somebody doesn't, right? It's that negative versus the positive safety atmosphere.
And I
Yeah,
don't know.
I kind
Go
of
ahead, Tom.
same. I do work for a high school specifically. We don't have metal detectors, but I mean, and I think it's for very much the same reason that Daisy's saying. Like, it's just, yeah, it has a very negative connotation. I mean, it's hard enough, it's stressful enough just to go to the airport and go through TSA and all that. Do you really want to do that every day for every kid? I don't know. On the other side of it, at the school that I do work at, there are 3 campus supervisors and 2 SROs. So that is also a reason why we don't really need metal detectors.
Right.
I mean, we're taking IDs, we're, vetting everybody that comes to the door. I personally just installed Raptor this last week.
Yeah.
So we're doing that.
Which MPA's had for like a number of years now. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, having been on the other side of that, the first time I was asked to hand over my driver's license and get a little visitor badge with my excellent picture on it. And now seeing the other side of it, I mean, I feel like that's a very, it makes me feel very confident that MPA is doing a good job security wise, especially given that it's an elementary/middle school.
Yeah. And the population. And I would say, I don't know who was here, and I wasn't, but the principal before me, not the interim principal, was very concerned with safety to the point where, from all I've heard, that everybody was very scared and fences were going up. And that's, I don't, yeah. So, the community was very opposed to that. So again, I don't want to take up too much time, but just if anybody has any strong feelings, also you can join us at accountability to hear more about the security that's in place. And if you want to be able to discuss that more, I don't know if anybody else has a strong opinion. If somebody comes up to you, like I definitely hope that the board talks to that, because 4 years ago, this community ran out of principal. I think that's what it sounded like to me, just because it was so, I don't know, the decisions made around security, I guess, were very upsetting to the community.
I have 3 hopefully quick thoughts. One is like, I know. And one I think will lead us, somewhere, but not to a conclusion today. But, one is like these are troubling times. I mean, every time you hear about another situation, sorry, my kids are around, so like that, I mean, it's heartbreaking and heart-wrenching, and you do have like that visceral reaction as a parent to like, I better go get my kids right now, and then something in your rational brain can kick in, but like it's unprecedented. Like, there has been no time like this in history where these occurrences have happened so frequently. And so I think like people's concern is valid because it's just so confusing. So that's just one thought. The second is like, of course, I think as a board, none of us would want to make a decision on safety based on finances. So I think like, of course, we'd want to make sure that wasn't the case. But my third thought, which I think will lead us somewhere, and I don't know if we need this or not, Robin, but like, I always think like the data is the helpful telling thing, because I'll give my example. At first, when I first heard about last week's incident, I was like, armed guards everywhere, but then I was like, does that help actually? And so then I started to do some research, and it doesn't actually, like, and it actually could have the opposite effect. And so it's interesting because a lot of the things that we think anecdotally might solve the problem could actually do a reverse, and there is data out there on it. So I don't know if there are people on the SAC committee that might be willing to do even some of that research, or maybe you have it, Robin. So that'd be my thought of like, if there's a concern for more, let's get some data and do some research so that we would be making a decision based on facts, and you might know all that already, Robin, but I
Really,
think,
that's really that's behavior incidents and what you find, and there's zero beyond a Boy Scout knife. Once there was a Boy Scout knife, but really it was just in somebody's backpack, and it wasn't like,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like in our population, and statistically, there's nothing that warrants that. We have a part-time SRO. Actually, we I shouldn't say part-time. We share SROs with the middle schools, so I can call an SRO. They stop by sometimes at any time. Yeah, data-wise, there's nothing that would warrant that. I mean, I know in society, I think what the real thing is was what we're already doing. Montessori education includes peace component, and I put it in my newsletter. She believed in educating for peace because nobody taught people how to be peaceful. But also that community building and having a small community where a lot of people know each other. Those are all, and hopefully also embrace everyone. So we're not ostracizing people, right? That's in my, the hope that it prevents more of that than throwing up big fences or searching 5-year-olds' backpacks, right? I have no data that would warrant anything for like anything at our school. Like,
well, maybe,
you
or,
know,
Also,
well, I don't know what, or, yeah, go ahead, Tom.
sorry, just real quick. Installing metal detectors, the more I think about it, that what that says to me is we don't trust our student population.
Yeah.
And I don't think that if there is a threat to MPA, it's coming from the student population.
Right.
Just to go off of what you're saying, Robin, the overall culture of the school, I don't know that that's necessarily the case.
Yeah.
Aside from that, all of the other security for third parties, external parties that are going into the building, all of that is following the Raptor guidelines. It's following the Department of School Safety guidelines. Yeah, I just, the more I think about it, that would just scare me.
So I think I don't want us to derail this meeting, Christine, with this. I just want
Sorry.
or to be thinking, and I appreciate all that input. And yeah, like data wise, there's no research. I mean, my research is in my system. We don't have any data to warrant that kind of reaction in this population or in our elementary school or middle school. But I would suggest if anybody in the board's interested in learning more. I mean, I'm not going to give 2 hours of data because the accountability committee also gets to go through a number of data slides, and it'll be fun for everyone. But I'm going to be doing more of that with accountability. So you could also, if somebody's really expressed, like I said, 2 parent families out of an entire population. That's not a trend, and that's not a high number. But I just wanted to make sure if somebody does approach you, you could just, tell them what we talked about at the board meeting, welcome them to come to accountability, right? But, I think sometimes people just have a lack of understanding too of everything that Jeffco does. And I've been in Jeffco for a long time. We do everything. Well, now I'd say the first year I was here, there were some things that have stopped, which is good. But we do everything that Jeffco Systems does, and they really are the best in the country. So okay, I don't want to take too much time, but Christine, if we feel like we want to go maybe at another meeting, we have a bigger conversation about it, we certainly can. I'm not saying there's a need. I feel like what we're doing,
Yeah.
yeah. So
No, I think
data that shows that. It's just I just want to be sort of aware that I did have 2 people reach out, and one I told bring this up at the board meeting.
No, I appreciate it. I think it's really helpful. And I think like after the next SAC meeting, too, maybe you'll have a good sense. And if we need to have another discussion around it, we could, certainly.
Yeah. I'm just real quick. I just want to say, Robin, I would be interested to hear what their motivation was for that. And that's definitely something we should and could talk about during the SAC meeting as well.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it. I'm done now.
Okay.
No, that's great.
It'll be great to have you at accountability, Tom, because you're like, honestly,
yeah. Well, and I think, it's an important topic, and I think it having more like people being involved in SAC, like, and contributing in that way, and then it could come to the board, if there's some other bigger, decision or whatnot. But I think it's great. I think it's not great that this has to happen, but I think that is very good location for that to be, discussed further, so.
Yeah.
But does anyone else have any thoughts or comments or anything they want to share on it? I know it's a big national issue, really, so.
I'd agree with everything you said, and I think maybe the one ask could be like either in SAC or, and then if it comes to the board at the next meeting, just referencing the Jeffco standards, because we obviously, there is a lot of knowledge to draw on and say, are there any glaring gaps? And that's the one thing that we want to address as a board, but if we're in line, and it's a turtle situation we have to deal with, but we do have a good reference body to work with, and if we're in step with that, that's what we should be doing. But thanks all for your work on
You can always refer them back to Maria's Montessori's research and teachings, because she grew up in both world wars. She was, she lived during both of them, and that's why it's interesting to read about what she said about peace education, especially after a school shooting.
Okay, committee reports. Now, are we good to move on?
Is this like Jen? Is this Jen? Okay.
Jen. Thanks, Jen, for your patience.
No, I just couldn't hear earlier, so I was like, I'm gonna get ready. Okay, so ready for finance? Can you guys hear me?
Totally.
Yes, sorry, I was nodding but not talking.
Oh.
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. Well, we're still pretty new into the budget. You can see this is accounting reflective of 8/31/25. I didn't even receive a single transfer from the district yet. At that point, I did run it recently. I ran it yesterday, and we have received $318,000. So things are starting to wake up. I don't have any UPK money yet. I don't have any tuition. Again, reflective of this report, it is started to come in. So we're 2 months in, 16.67 into the budget. My revenues are at 2, but I just explained why. Most importantly, my salaries are at 16, salaries and benefits. It's my largest expense. This is what purchase services, 18%. It's a little high because we do a lot of front-loaded things. We did a lot of contracted work in the summer. And then if you go down to materials and supplies, that's also usually high because of the 820 account, instructional materials right here. And this is 25% now, but if you take out the 75,000, we have a contingency that we really haven't spent. We're actually under budget at 10%, so that's good. Because of that lack of revenue, that brings us to minus 12.99 coverage ratio, but with our budget, we're hoping to be at 1.24. Any questions?
Jen, I'm sorry, was the budget adjusted for the current enrollment?
Not yet, because we don't get our, like Lisa's enrolling people as we speak. We had somebody shadow today. So we're gonna wait for that October number, October 1st. We'll get it mid-October, and I'll plan on maybe presenting a budget adjustment in November, depending on when we get the final count.
Okay. And if it's, I just have to ask, if it sits at what it's at today, do you have a sense on if we're still going to be in our target range?
Unfortunately, we're trending, what did you say, Robin, 411? So
411,
maybe we'll hit 412. So that is some deficit. We do have, like I said, that 75,000 in contingency we can put down to 25. And with this current budget, we are looking at putting 82,000 in reserves. Maybe we shoot for 50,000. Maybe we stop, spending here and there. We've had some employee changes, and maybe we don't rehire for that. We're not letting anyone go, but we're not maybe replacing. So there's things we can do. We just have to watch and tighten up our spending.
Yeah, this is nothing new.
Helpful,
for a
thank
school.
you.
This is nothing new for a school. And so a school, that's what a school is going to do, right? You're going to look through and go, okay, well, going from here on out, you know, depending on what that number is and what we decide, what we after we move some things around, the as needed things, like things that are absolutely needed, of course, will get purchased, but otherwise, like anything that wasn't planned is a no, and that's okay. You know, teachers of anybody who's been in education for a while has been through years like this, and let me tell you, the neighborhood schools will definitely be going through it.
You know, I'm also going to receive READ Act funds. What was the name of that grant? Then charter facility assistance. Basically, it's about $50,000 I can use to offset my rent payments. So there's things we could have a huge bake sale. I
We
mean,
also are going to get, we don't know, we don't think it'll be a huge amount, but you know, obviously the district, remember we talked, the district's going to be giving us the
interest earning.
interest from this is the first year ever from last year, from the accounts they hold for us, which they haven't done for charter schools in the past, but we haven't received that yet.
Yeah. So we are way early in the beginning of the year. All we can do is be good stewards and roll with the punches.
Yeah. So for example, you know, if somebody asks, oh, I would like to work an extra day, and if that wasn't in the budget, you know, if it's an hourly employee, that's a no, right? Like, so it's like a family would do. There's no difference. You get a cut in your pay. You're going to take a look at your budget and go, okay, where are we cutting? Because we will cut.
We're going complete great value, let me tell you.
Yeah. And so, Jen, are you done with that? Because I can, if nobody has,
yeah, there's not much to discuss. What you have to say is more of what's going on.
So because Justin, Jen, and I met before this meeting, that's what we've been doing. It seems to work really well for us. We would meet at 6 for the finance committee. So first of all, we have our next meeting with PNC Bank next week. We had to delay it because we're waiting for Lori Deacon, the financial advisor. Is that her actual title, Jen? It's financial advisor, I think.
She's the CPA.
That's what I call her, though. She's the one who actually helped us submit the final numbers to PNC. But and I've already talked to Ted about this. They were requesting this meeting with her because basically they want a third party that's obviously not us. One of the things they've questioned us on is why we just can't get the data they're asking for in the format they want from the district. And there's a reason, you know, but Lori can explain. We've explained it to them, but Lori will just back that up and talk to them about it. We're hoping once we have that meeting, and I imagine most of it's going to be them asking her questions about the numbers and what she knows about the charter model in Colorado. Then we'll see what they decide to do next. Ted and I talked at the back to school social. We were talking work, and like sometimes they'll change, modify the covenants. They might charge you a fine, but when they do that, but we have to wait and see. So that's the next step with PNC. In the meantime, what we've done is we contacted DA Davidson, DeAngelis. He helped negotiate this first loan. And, when we first started encountering this, when all of us became aware of this situation, which is fairly recently, we're like, why did they have this short, loan? And I asked him if he'd be able to meet. And I said, so you were there. Could you tell me why, there was a 7-year loan? And what he said was, at the time, the board wanted the flexibility, and hopefully I'm using all the right words, so you banking people can feel free to correct me, but they wanted to be able to draw down bonds. Like, they wanted the flexibility with the money. That's how he phrased it. I hope I have that right. So correct me if you think I'm wrong. I did, at the recent principal meeting, I talked to the Edinburgh Classical Academy principal. They just had a refinance with the same guy and same company. They spoke very highly of him. They also came off a 7-year term loan because that's all they could afford at the time. So that probably was a component as well. They used him for the renegotiation and really spoke very highly of him. He will be coming to talk in November. So Christine already knows this. We've already scheduled him. I think he can start helping us plan for what we need to do. Interesting conversation, because he said, well, the economy is very, I was just talking to him about PNC, and he still thinks it's outrageous, but I'm like, it doesn't matter. I have to deal with it. He did say the minimum now that they're requiring to get like an investment grade, to have the investment grade that you want for the loan is 125 days cash on hand. So right now, we have at the end of at the end of the school year, 90 days, right? So at the end of every school year, that's what we at least have to have for this loan covenant. Going into our looking for refinancing, we're gonna need a minimum of 125. So I asked the Edinburgh principal, I go, well, because they just did, they got this in. So you banking Ted, speak up if you know exactly the better words to use, but this investment grade. Jen, how'd you say it? It was the is she on? Maybe she can't hear. Really to get the best possible financing possible.
Oh, the credit rating.
Yes, thank you.
That's what it's
Okay.
called.
So I asked the admin principal, so, you know, what did you do? He goes, well, we had 200 days cash on hand. I'm like, well, how'd you do that? You know, because we're schools, we don't market products or anything. And he said they had expanded to high school, so they were able to increase their enrollment by 201 swoop because they, you know, expanded by 4 grades. But I really think we're gonna have to look at saving, not, balancing our budget after we get the October count. But then looking to our future when we have to refinance, we've got to at least get 125 days. That's what he's saying minimum right now, and that's a minimum. So, good to know. And then Matt can, that's when I asked him, could you present at one of our meetings? And, this is how he gets business too, right? I said, do you need us to contract you? What? He goes, nope, this is how we, market and do things like that. So he's going to come do that just, to build that relationship. And it sounds like the people at the time made the decision they made because it was a need at the time, just like at Addenbrook. So it is what it is. They, 7-year loan. Again, Addenbrook spoke very highly of him and his team. So I do feel confident in using him because he is like one of the companies that the charter schools use a lot. Any questions on that? Because that kind of goes with our, how are we going to deal with all this? Well, yeah, we're going to have to tighten up, right?
Good. And what was the covenant, and we're short with the current bank? What's the number that we're supposed to be, we were at, and we're supposed to be 120?
No, it's supposed to be 90 right now. So that's actually higher than that was higher than the industry standard.
Right, because it was 60 for the school, and we can hit 90, but only at a certain time, not on the quarterly cadence that they want to see it on.
Yeah, and actually that's what Lori's going to talk to as well, and that's why Matt DeAngelis, this gentleman, keeps saying this is ridiculous that they're looking at you quarterly, because just like Jen said, we don't have the revenue coming in yet. Like, we don't control that. They give it, we'll get it if it comes in when they get it to us. So looking at it quarterly is not really helpful. Their stance is that's why at schools, you look at it at the end of the year, right? Ideally, you're not just scraping by, so you never drop below, right? That's the ideal. But we've always been hovering right there. I guess that's been going on since the loan. We've always been hovering about right there. So we drop some in the middle of the year, and then by the end of the year, and even this year, our CPA was saying, we'll see if that's how it comes out in the final audit, that we were at 90 days, right, Jen? Like, I'm drawing a blank on his name. CPA.
Yes, that's what John said, and my audit is next week. So
okay,
we will know in a few weeks once it's done.
Just for everybody's reference, how much extra cash would that be at a point in time?
It's going to be 4 months worth. So we're going to get Lori, after we get through this meeting with PNC, to calculate that for us. We're going to have her run the numbers for us.
How feasible do we feel that is, given this 45 million budget shortfall, just to put that in big picture?
I don't know. I think we can. I think we get the number. That's our reality, and that's what we have to work towards. Which also means, I think it's good. We did the zero-scaping outside North. I think that's marketing. I think when it looks like an abandoned building, you're not going to get a lot of middle school kids. You know what I mean? I think there's things that had to happen, but at this point, unless something goes drastically wrong, there's big no on, facility upgrades, unless there's, some serious problem. We need to just be conservative, just like we would a private sector company or a family, right? It's the same situation. I don't know. We'll have to work with Lori and Matt on that, and just, again, one thing we could do is keep working on, I've been talking to Melissa Segisman about expanding homeschool to 2 more days, but have a different group of kids coming those days. That would be another source of revenue, we could continue to work towards increasing middle school. It's already more than tripled. So, the growth has been good. It's just that we think about a 45 cap on middle school is about what it'll fit. What was interesting that we found out, he looked back at his notes, the board that originally negotiated, they projected that as of this year, we'd be at 485, which is absurd, actually, given the space over at the North Building. It wouldn't even accommodate what they're talking about. So, yeah, just, I think everybody had positive intentions, but not, not necessarily realistic given the space. So I think there's things we can do, and I think we do have the ability to grow some in middle and homeschool.
Did we talk about, and I can't remember if we followed through on it, increasing some of the fees on after school programs and possibly raising some of that needed income for the debt through those programs?
We already did. We increased this year. Like, I think we had the board vote on it. Because I
remember discussion. I just don't remember.
We definitely increased fees this year, and we can certainly continue to do that. Like on as need. You obviously don't want to gouge the community just to pay for this.
No, not gouge, but we have to keep up with the inflation rate too,
Yeah.
and it.
Oh yeah,
and
we definitely
salaries in the
year.
state, and
yeah. Well, even we've slowly been increasing preschool tuition. Like we don't want to.
And we're still low, so we can
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, minimum wage in this state continues to climb rapidly. So that's something we have to keep up with too. And I can't name a vendor I work with that isn't raising the rates on me astronomically to keep up with it. So
yeah.
Cost of living
as far as after school clubs, like we could charge more for aftercare, right, Jen? Like those are like we've already increased those every year. We've been increasing those actually. But you always want to do you don't want to just do this huge hike.
No, you can't.
No, but
run
the
people
fact that
off.
we have wait lists on both, we could raise the price.
Yeah.
But not
competitively, not gougingly. Yeah.
No, I didn't say you were going to gouge, Justin.
No, that word's now in the record. So yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no gouging.
Competitively, yeah. I think.
Keep your car in the garage, Justin.
Well, okay, and what's our timeline to get to it's 2.2 million. Is that it ish?
I don't know. I want Lori Deacon to run the numbers for us. I can't even.
Okay. Well,
so that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that, Ted?
It's about right. We'll go through you both. So yeah.
Okay.
About 2.2. Because I'm to
get
to
the 4 months for the 125 days.
To get 125 days. Yeah. I mean, what I did was took our budget. I mean, this was, I call it goat math, like fast math. Took our budget, times it by about a third because 125 days, a little more than 4 months. So, so I have a proposal maybe that we could talk through at the next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
If it would be possible just to get like a grid of all of these options, like that we're kind of talking through, and how long we have till we have to get that 2.2 million. So like, what do we have? How long do we have till we would get to that ideal amount? And then just kind of review the options of like what we would do to close the gap. And some might be helpful, but not nominal really, and then others might float to the top of like, oh, that's where we should spend our time, figuring out how do we get more students in the door, or is that making sense?
We can only get so many students in the door without becoming too much.
Sure.
This is where I think what we need to do is, and I don't think we need to walk around in the dark on this. I think we wait for Matt when we have this presentation and we talk to him some. He can present, he's had a lot of experience doing this, and he could talk about the days cash on hand that he's seeing right now that our schools are having to have. It doesn't mean you can get a loan, but to get a decent percentage on your loan, that's why you want.
That's the data I'd ask for, is like, what is it from the different ratings? And like, before we stretch ourselves too hard, are we talking about?
I agree.
There's a whole bunch for like an extra 0.5%, which is, I mean, we want every bit we can get, but if you're at 90, do you still get like investment grade plus 0.5%, or is it plus 3%? Like, how hard do we have to push to close that gap? We'll come up with the options, but if we're practically unobtainable to get there without doing some serious harm, then maybe we just start preparing for whatever the actual one, which hopefully isn't that big of a spread.
Right, I know, that's what I'm thinking, that's why I'm not willing to like increase, like, we've got Matt coming for a reason, and I think we hold that conversation until he's there and we get more information.
That'd
About,
be the good data to see though, like the tiers from like, okay, here's tier one, the best you can get, but
yeah,
then goes past that and like, okay, you guys can move and default here, and it's really only gonna be like an extra point.
right, and he knows all that, so he can answer all that, um, and you're right, I agree with you, if it's like 1 to 2%, I don't know, I know that's money, but it may not be reasonable, like, we can't fix the decisions that were already made. You know, so,
Right, yeah, and but to get, if you're trying to,
yeah,
it's a it's a lot.
right.
And I was thinking, because when we looked at the budget, I think when we set this, we were in a wait list situation at almost every class level, if I remember, right? There
Yeah,
was a
people say that, but like those classes still weren't full even with that wait list, you know, like those wait lists don't always transpire into students and seats, right? So
right.
wait lists go away, they'll go away. In fact, they've already gone, they're already wiped out. They wipe them out by a certain date.
Okay.
And you don't get any more kids up till October 1st now, unless, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, there's a wait list and we worked through it. But our classes, especially in lower and upper L, are pretty much full, you know. Preschool, almost full. Middle school can grow a little. It can grow about 10 if we stay at that current cap. And homeschool can grow a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can talk about those wait lists, but and I think the big thing would be to be more proactive on reaching out to people. And I think Lisa has been doing a great job, the new enrollment secretary, with that. I really do. I think she's been really great up through this week, even scheduling tours. So I think for us right now, if I'm looking at high priority, it's right now. We got to wait till we see what enrollment is. We're not in dire straits, and nobody should leave this meeting thinking that. It just means that, okay, we don't have the 420, so that means some of these areas will be cut down a little, you know, and that happens in any school. And then going in, we'll wait for Matt, and he can present those tiers, and we can decide, well, what is it? What do we think is feasible, right? Because you're right, Ted. If it's like way out of our range, I mean, we can't. There's no other way to make a ton of money in a school, right?
Well, that's right. I mean, we are practically limited, right? We come up with all the best ideas in the world, but we could be throwing ourselves against the wall.
Yeah. 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 So it is like, so area, this was just an update, and then I think we need to wait for that November meeting. That'll give us October count, and then we can, tackle the current budget, which is highest priority, and then that'll give us the rest of the information we need to know. Well, some of it, probably not all of it, but I mean most of it. And then we can also continue to work with Lori on helping us craft a plan or not do numbers or whatever plan we come up with. Okay. But you guys should know, though, that's pretty typical. Like, people can estimate enrollments all they want. You know, we went up by 10 from last year, so our enrollment's always been an upward trend. Well, not always, but recently. And you know, with the SPF going up, we have a higher rating this year on SPF. That's great marketing as well. So it's, yeah. I think there's a lot of good things. It's just we've got the situation with a loan.
Good. Okay. Let's see. I want to make sure we get to the board size and the members and spend a fair amount of time there. And I would like to end by 8 when I know, Justin, you have a hard stop and I have small children that will need to go to bed. And I wanted just to honor all of your time. And I also want to honor our other candidates who've been kind of like a piece of all of this, for months now, really. So maybe we could do quick updates on the rest of the committees, and then Ted, you could quickly run through any calendar items, and then we could finish out with that number 7 there. Okay, marketing and branding. I know we always laugh because that one really, I do think we need a longer discussion about what should that be. But Justin, do you have any quick updates there?
Nothing to report. The discussion that has been had in the past is that might want to roll off into a different committee or a subcommittee. That is a committee of one right now. It's me. So yeah, there's nothing to report. There's no plans. I think we just need to start with the foundation of that and figure out what it needs to be. And with me coming off the board, somebody needs to take the reins on that. So.
Well, and ironically, I was meeting with the homeschool director this week, and she said to me, I really just wish I knew how to get get it out there about homeschool. Homeschool has the biggest potential for expansion, right? And, so we put it on that front sign in Kipling. There's some things I won't put out there because I don't want the entire community to know everything going on in the school, but that we put out there. But I don't know if it needs to be a committee, really. It's like maybe generating ideas, but then the school following through. But anyway, I agree with Justin. Like, I think we need to redefine what that's going to mean. But some of you might have some ideas regarding homeschool and how to get that out there. Not tonight, though.
Thanks. I do want to talk about it, but I just want to make sure we get that other piece of business done and where you can move on from it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, SAC. Any quick updates with SAC?
I mean, we don't have our first meeting till Monday, so we're having a meeting and we're going to talk about safety and a whole lot of data and the UIP.
Cool.
And then Tom's a new member on it, right, Tom? So
yeah, we kind of already did the SAC update, really. Let's see, we have an update from the PTA. Daisy, do you want to give just a quick overview of that? I could also. I just have been talking.
You've been talking too much, Christine.
Yeah, it's always nice to share the mic.
We got a really, really neat update from Meg. She was saying that the PTA is partnering with Read to Them, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to, and I'm just reading from the email. Sorry, it's very dry. Sorry. Dedicated to personal and academic success through literacy. They offer various programs for instilling a culture of reading in school children. Yay. We have selected their One School, One Book program, in which the school selects a book from the program's list of children's classics, and each MPA student receives a copy to read at home as a family. Yay, I celebrate that again. At school, students celebrate and explore the novel with their classmates through a variety of activities. For example, trivia, coloring pages, discussion. Ms. Heather is reviewing our choices and will select our book. It's been added to the PTA's budget as part of our mission to support children's growth and success as well as schools. Super awesome. She did send us a link if anybody would like that. I will include it on the meeting notes. Obviously, they have launched Dewey's Dash. For more information, please see the school newsletter. Just kidding. Trunk or Treat is going to be on October 25th from 1 to 3 in the primary parking lot. Weather permitting, in case of inclement weather, they will move it inside. They're also looking for local businesses to host trunks. Please send an email to Caitlin, our favorite, at mpeakspta.org. Sorry, I need new contacts. I need reading glasses. I need something. They are going to, of course, focus on fundraising for the playground, and they are going to use the marquees to do a fundraising Celebrate Your Student. I'm super excited about that. I think that's great. Can't wait for more information about that. It's going live the week of September 22nd, which would be next week. Community members can pay for an announcement of their choosing birthday or congratulations featured for the duration of a week. First celebrations go live the week of September 22nd. And then, of course, next meeting, they moved to September 26th, which is next Friday, rescheduled due to Dewey's Dash. There we go. Quick update. Nice and simple.
Awesome. Thanks. Ted, any grievances?
No grievances. So
Good. Okay. Do you want to run through the calendar check-in?
yes, took through that real quick. September items are, so there's a couple banking items. One is the annual trustees fee due to Zion's. Jen, is that something you handle quarterly, roughly?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
It's the Zion's annual trustee fee.
Oh yeah, already paid and received.
Excellent. Then there's the certificate of no default to Zion's Bank. So it's probably a quarterly certificate, and this might be the first quarter that we're kind of aware of the pending situation. So have we done an outreach to them to talk about?
That's what we're doing with PNC, is trying to get that compliance, which includes that certificate.
Right.
So they currently have, well, we did two. We're current in it. The next one is due 45 days from the next end of quarter.
Okay. Got it. So obviously we have to cure whatever's happened, but then we can't really submit a timeless certificate right now. So that's where there's a continuing situation.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Let's see. Next one, review strategic plan progress, which I think at this point that was submitted. I think that's a legacy artifact we can probably take off, deal with that again. Um, back to school night was done, and then identify board members that need to attend legal training offered by district in October. I don't know if that's a thing that's still happening or if that was a last year artifact. That sounds like a legacy.
I don't remember them even doing that last year.
Okay, that must have just been a carry forward then. Okay, so that's it for September. It sounds like we're good. It's just those couple banking items. And then looking ahead to October, there are notes on the UIP. So last year in October, we did a review and then looks like we did approve UIP. I can go back and look at the minutes, but I think that may have been one where we did a supplemental check-in meeting before we submitted that. So I know we need to run that piece down.
What was that? I didn't understand.
UIP. So we're talking about earlier, because that needs to go in, what'd you say, before the next board meeting, right, Robin? From your report.
You're on mute,
Yeah.
Robin.
Yeah, we don't really have to vote on it. It just has to be presented on some level. So Christine will meet and I'll meet about that next week and make the plan for how we're gonna do that.
Yeah, and that's okay, great. Yeah, so that'll be done. That's next month's item, but that'll be done before the next board meeting. So, okay. Cool, that's everything on the list for September, October.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, board size and new board members. One thing I wanted to ask you, Robin, because I haven't had a chance to, I guess, check in on it. Did the lawyer ever get back to you around the questions for the updated bylaws?
Did not.
Okay.
On vacation.
Okay, so
You know
that's
what?
just
I heard
on.
charter principals talking at the meeting. They were talking, some of them were saying, has he gotten back to you yet? So I wonder if he's,
Okay.
yeah.
That's just on the side. I just was wondering, but so based on what we voted on last meeting, we decided to have update the bylaws for the board size to be 7 to 9 individuals. And we opted to defer till this meeting to discuss size of the board and then therefore vote on additional board members. So Nicole and Frank are still willing to be considered. And then just another option, I guess. Adam Livingston said he would be willing to come onto the board for a year to serve as the year if there was a need, if there's a need, if it fulfilled a need and there, was any reason for that. But he's also happy not to if we have, great other options. So, but I just wanted to share that because I thought that was, a good, this is the time of the night where my brain's, dying. Active service, I guess, willingness to serve, but in a humble capacity. So what I thought we could do was maybe go around and everyone could just share what their thoughts are on the size of the board. Because last week I don't want to speak for anyone. We couldn't land on if we wanted 7, 8, or 9 board members for this current school year. And if you have an opinion on term limits for term time periods for the new people. And I honestly, I don't even know if we really have 2 to 3 minutes anymore at this point, but anyways, if that sounds good, let's start that people could just share their opinions. Is this making sense? Okay. Okay, so would anyone like to start just sharing, if you have an opinion on board size, please share it.
So we did decide on 7, right? Because we did vote Sarah in. She just
Yes.
needs to be
Yes.
sworn in.
Yes,
So, okay.
7 for sure. But my understanding is we couldn't make a decision
Stop
yet
at
on if it's
7
7, 8, or 9.
Okay.
Feel free to
Agreed.
correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
So I've got to jump in 15 minutes. I'll just get my thoughts out. I think 9 is a good number. I think you should max it, but not minimize it, in the sense of no more than 9, but the board can function with as little as 5, or whatever it needs to be. I think if you make it 10, it's a weird optic, and it makes it look like we set out to, have tie votes. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to make it an even number. Odd number gives you that ability to never run into a tie. So with that, I'll leave it to the rest of you for discussion.
There still could be a tie because sometimes Elizabeth isn't a voting board member.
Oh.
Good point. Make it 11.
Sheesh.
Good
Thanks.
God.
Thanks, Justin. I don't think we can, because I think we voted for 7, 8, or 9. What other thoughts do we have?
Yeah, I talked a lot last time. I'm indifferent to the tie. I've been on boards where there was ties by design, and sometimes that's a good thing. If you can't reach consensus, then maybe a tie is the right answer. But with that said, I think my bigger concern is just thinking about, I was kind of using the term class size, right? Like how many people roll off on a different year and where everybody's at. I'm fine adding one more person. I'm fine adding 2 more people, but I also think we need to be thoughtful about like where those space out so we don't set up a cliff a couple years out. So I just recommend being thoughtful on these. By the way, quickly, Sarah, welcome. Thank you so much for joining the board. It's great to have you here. Dove right in, but great to have you on the board. That's my 2 cents.
I think what Christine's really getting at is the fact that we've opened ourselves up to 2 more seats and we have 2 possible people. Are we looking to fill those seats right now? Christine, is that what you're really getting at? As are we looking to fill those seats?
I'm like, I'm not sure I'm getting at anything. Like, I don't have an agenda, I guess, to clarify, except that I want us to decide how big we want the board to be for this school year. Does that make sense? So then therefore we can decide who of these candidates, do we want either or both of them or none of them, so that we can kind of just close that piece of business.
Because we set the size at 7. So I think just to add the point on that, it's like we could be anywhere between 7 and 9, the way we want to set the bylaws, but we did fix the size at the last meeting at 7. So we can up that to 8, or we can up it to 9. So do we even need to at all? This would be the question.
Yeah, if I could just add in my 2 cents here, I think the only reason I can see why it wouldn't be a great idea to add 2 more people is if it was some sort of frivolous act of just adding people to the board. If there was no actual benefit, or if there was no actual talent being brought in with these 2 people, I don't think that that's the case at all. So I think that the board would greatly benefit from it, all of the different facets, all of the different outlooks, and the experience that both of the candidates have, regardless of whether the goal is to fill 2 seats with these 2 candidates or to just have 2 more seats empty. I think we could benefit from having them.
I like how you said that, Tom. And to me, it's a matter of, we had these 2 people step up when we put out the call, and they said, hey, I'd be willing to do this. And if we don't say, we'd love to have you, that's kind of yay, we'd love to have you. And no. I feel like that's kind of an insult to say, we really want to consider you. We'd love to have you. We put all this time and effort to change the bylaws, and then we're saying, but yeah, you and not you. And it's just kind of an almost personal insult to be like, we talked about it, but we really just want one of you. And I love that Tom, you're putting it as they both bring such great talent and something that can build the board, and right, bringing all those different areas of talent and skill into the board.
I guess
Yeah, and also I think it goes without saying, I think that we should just sorry, Ted, real quick. I think it goes without saying that we should strike while the iron is hot. I mean, while we have 2 willing participants, where at the beginning of this school year, we didn't have enough willing participants, right?
That's kind of been a thing, I would say, the last number of years where people don't come in and then all of a sudden you end up with a surplus. I'd also say it's kind of a feature of elections is that you won't necessarily, and ideally would there be people running every year and not everybody would get a seat. That I think that's healthy, right? That there's more candidates than seats. So I think that's what I would look for more is like the skill set. I think that's a really good point. Like what are we bringing in? What do we want? Do we have a skill set? I don't want to say gap is the wrong word, but like, hey, where do we really have an extra need? Sounds like definitely not recruiting per se, but marketing, the talking, things like that. Justin's talking about stepping away from that. We know that's a coming need in the future. Maybe somebody else already has their eye on that, but it's definitely someplace we could add bench strength, for example. So just throwing that up there as a consideration.
Okay.
I guess we could look at it as it would also be, it could be a benefit in the sense that at the end of the school year, we will be doing we're running another election. And it could be a year, here again, where we get crickets and no one does apply. But we'd already have enough people on the board to ensure the board could go forward. That would be a possible benefit. Because of course, then again, we also had to talk about staggering them. Correct?
Yeah, I'm really worried about setting up a cliff. And I also think that setting up that cliff where you would have in a couple of years, 5 people rolling off.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Well,
scary.
I think it'd be 4, right?
Oh, sorry, yeah, 4. Still, I mean, half a board rolling off it's a lot.
Yeah.
The way we're designed to be a
Yeah,
standard.
no, I think it's a good, it'd be 4. If we added 2 new people with full terms, it would be, 4 then.
I guess because
So
sorry, go ahead.
what, or in terms of board size, I tend to be on the larger size mindset. Because I think from my vantage point, there's like many hands make light work. There's lots of little elements, I think, that we could divide the work of the board up into where there's a sense of ownership. So it's not necessarily that there's committees, but like someone might have ownership around, I'm going to use finance because that's the most straightforward one. Justin has ownership around finance and he meets with Jen and Robin, on these elements beforehand. I think reviewing the bylaws, like reviewing, different, there's probably like a dozen tasks that I'm doing and not doing right now that have fallen kind of just to me because I'm the president. But there's a lot where I'm like, I'm just doing this because there kind of no one else is doing it. But if we have enough people to take ownership in different areas, and I think with both Nicole and Frank, what I've encountered is like some excitement to like, contribute to the school in a positive way, that many hands make light work, that the more people there are here with good management, we're able to really like affect some good positive change. And then thinking about what was shared at the training, it's a small board for a big amount of work. And I was even thinking about this today where I was like, I feel like somehow, it's almost like a part-time job, maybe not time-wise, but like there's tons of little admin details to keep track of with this. Because it is kind of a big role. Like as a board, we have a big role. And so I tend to be on the side of a larger team with like ownership in different areas, so that like together we can kind of really like even elevate what the board has been able to do before. And I think we can accomplish more, so instead of having to defer things meeting after meeting, if someone between meetings is able to spend 30 minutes of their time on something else, each time we come together, we're that much more efficient and effective. So I do tend to be on the larger side of the board, and I think Tom, you worded it well. And staggering, I think, would be, you know, an important piece. But I think like, you know, like I'm just wondering, like, are we at a point where anyone would feel comfortable making a motion one way or another?
I guess
I
if
was going to say,
piece on that is, sorry, I think it's just come out wrong. I think we need to think about experience on the board too, right? I'm really worried about having enough continuity of experience. So if we were going to go up to add 2 more folks, my default is to not go with Adam because you've had 2 other folks throw their hats in the ring. But if we're going to add 2, my inclination would be to make Adam one of them, just so we have more history of experience with the board. And from just all the mechanics, having been through a couple cycles and understanding all the things that can and could come up, we don't have to go that route. But I think that's one of the reasons for staggering, is to have that continuity of experience and the building up of experience over time. And I think as the size increases, we need to think about that balance as well. Sorry, Daisy.
Was someone else going to share something? Sorry.
just thinking we are at 5 minutes till 8. Sounds like I will just jump right in here. I'm going to go ahead and propose a motion to set the size of the board for the 25-26 school year at 9 members.
If no one does it, if someone wants to second that motion, we could vote on it. If no one wants to second it, I guess we'd propose a new motion. Or we,
I
or
like
go
the
ahead.
number 9, Christine. I was just going to say, I'm with Ted on the concern of the roll off. Is there any way to stagger this
Would you want
where
the motion to be with a staggered? Like, is that like we would vote on people in how many years?
right, maybe one comes on for 2-year term and one, Ted, it sounds like you've done the math on this. So does one come on for a 1-year term, another comes on for a 2-year term, or what is the mix that makes this work?
I don't know what that makes. Let's see. So
Okay.
I think that's right. Right. Yeah, a 1-year term. All right. I'm sorry. Who picked up Brian's seat? Somebody's in a 2-year term already.
Sarah is in a 2-year term.
Okay.
This only works for me visually, so I'd have to see it in a grid to see like.
But
yeah.
I think we should try to align on that and then vote on the package, the omnibus resolution, right? But so I think if you want to go to 9, vote.
If you did offer one of these candidates a 1-year term, they still have the potential to run for another 3-year, which keeps the mix where we need it. So, you know, you could go to both of them and say, would you be offended with a 1-year term, or is that off-putting and you'd rather have a longer term? I don't think anybody's going to get into an arm wrestling match to be on the longer one, honestly. And knowing that they can extend it, 4 years might put somebody right at the end of the term that their student's going to be at the school.
No, I thought with a 1-year term is at this point they would join in October. So really we're talking about.
Wouldn't Adam fulfill that to a certain degree?
It could, yeah, he could. Yep. If that's who we wanted in that spot. Yep.
I would be willing to move forward on a second for 9 with the caveat that we need to work out the terms.
so that we don't end up with a mass roll off.
So
Does
I
that
was
count?
plotting in my brain cells of one vote for the size, one vote for who fits which terms. We could change that up.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I'd rather wait until we have that, you know, rather than walking out with 2 vacant seats. That feels like counterproductive to leave tonight with 2 vacant seats without a solid idea of who we're going to place the phone calls to.
So where does that leave us? I'm lost a little bit on the motions.
There's a motion before the board that has not been seconded. Right.
Okay. And here's where I'm at with it. If we can't decide, honestly, I kind of think if we can't decide tonight, we've talked about this probably 3 times, we need to just say we're not adding more people to the board this year. Which is okay. I just think, we kind of need to make a decision or move on.
There's
Could
also
we not?
putting a hard conversation here to say, hey, is there a particular person that we'd love to have? And say, hey, we all think we'd love this one person on the board. Let's expand by 1, give them a seat, and then they're in for 3 years. 2.7.
So you feel a little bit more about the candidates, talk about the candidates.
Yeah, I guess we're avoiding a hard conversation here, so I'll just say it. So just because everybody ran doesn't mean you have to call everybody and say, hey, congratulations.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to serve, right? But I think Tammy kind of made a point about indiscriminately increasing the board size. That's a really, really important point. And I am mindful about continuity of experience here. So I would be nervous about having a whole bunch of half the board in their first year of the board service. I don't know that that's good from a experience balance. So if we really, really need help right now, I'll let them say, hey, can you do the next 7 months? If we had one of the other 2 candidates that we really, really like to say, hey, will you join for 2.75 years? If we really, really think there's a ton of value to say, arm wrestle of paper, rock, scissors or whatever for a 1-year term and a 3-year term so we can maintain the balance. And then you're in the catbird seat for re-election in the spring election.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so based on the current situation, if we had 2 new people join the board in addition to Daisy, Tom, and Sarah, that would be a majority of inexperienced. I don't mean to say inexperienced.
That's right. It's not an insulting word at all. It's just
just new to the board, and so then therefore how issues are approached, how just without that experiential knowledge, you have kind of that maybe an imbalance of all of it. I understand what you're saying, and that makes sense. Okay, so what are we? I think that makes sense, Ted. I'm not saying yay or nay. I just understand your point in a way that's really helpful. So yeah, what are your all thoughts right now?
If we're going to vote tonight, say one thing, I would say just from outgoing knows everybody, I would say let's increase the board size by 1, appoint Frank, and I'm seeing him as taking over Justin's role in marketing and getting a whole bunch out there because I feel like he knows everybody and could be great for pulling people in, expanding, school profile and stuff like that. That's just complete, does not have to be an answer. That is an answer that I would go to if pushed tonight. Just to put a scenario out there.
Sorry, I missed the crux of your point there. I'm sorry.
I was putting a strong
Home Alone with child with a small 3.
Increase board size by 1, appoint Frank. That would be one proposal because my knowledge of him, having met him, and knowing everybody, and thinking about what we're going to need to do, expanding school profile and all that, I think he'd be a rock star in that role. Would bring a lot of value in that seat. Every candidate brings value in different ways. That's one idea I have tonight, is something that I see as a future gap. Bring him in for the next couple, 7 months, picking that up, and then having a couple year run. I think that would be of value. That's a scenario of all the permutations. But that's what I would go for personally.
Thanks, Justin.
I gotta jump off, guys. Thank you. Have a good rest of the meeting.
So I'm going to give us, like, I don't want to push us into a decision. I'm just going to give us maybe 5 more minutes on this. And then and then I do think I think that, it's a indecision kind of is a decision in a way, because it shows that we can't, not that we can't get alignment on it, but we must not, we don't have like a strong consensus. So does anyone want to make a new motion?
So Ted, are you saying then that you would have Frank fill the 1 year,
I'd
a
prefer
remainder of the year that you and Justin have as well?
to do it in the beginning of the 3-year term. So it'll,
Okay, so you'd have him with Tom and I.
so, and again, I think we have to put on the governance hat, right? Like to build a strong board, right? Not just people, but like what do we want the board to look like? That's part of the role and the hard conversation we have to have, right? We don't have to do anything, right?
So really quickly, Daisy, you have 3 years, correct?
Yes.
Justin's going out this year. Ted, are you done this year or is it, you're done this year? Okay, so Christine, you have 2 left, right? Okay. And Tom has 3, and Sarah has taken over a 2-year. Correct? And Christine's 2 years too, right?
Correct.
Okay. And Tom is a first year, so he'll have 3. Okay. I'm trying to figure out, like, with Ted where everyone falls.
If
So
you
make
look
sure-
on the bottom of the agenda, it has all of our tenures. My cheating.
Okay.
I think did I get your title updated, Daisy? Did I do that
You
right?
did. It's lovely.
Okay.
Yep. It's all good.
I kind of agree with Ted. I like Ted's thought on doing 1.
Yeah, I agree there. I see the logic and I agree with that.
So Ted, do you want to make that motion to do that?
Does everybody agree on the candidate? I threw the straw man scenario out there, but does everybody
For the logic behind it, yes.
I just want to put out yeah.
I think, just to speak of all the people who are willing, Adam, we know Adam, who has like served so well and like is willing to serve again if needed, and also like he's literally like no hard feelings at all. I think Nicole, like same thing, just has like a heart for the school and education and wanting to help the school. And then Frank, I think you articulated it well. Ted I think he also comes with like leadership experience and a background of leading teams and different elements like that. And so I think based on so I really do think like if just like for the record, like all 3 of them are I'm grateful for their willingness to like step up and be a part of this, and should now not be the time for them. I hope that they run in the future if you guys were watching this, or whatever, so I want to say all that, but I think what you described, also makes makes sense. So
I'm happy to make the motion if everybody wants to do that tonight. If everybody's good to go, I'd move to expand the board size from 7 to 8, effective now, and to appoint Frank, requested he'll take that seat, and I would put that as the first year of a 3-year cycle. from the board seat perspective. So that's the motion.
A second.
Okay, give me just 1 second to type this down here.
And Christy, by the way, fully echo, 100% agree. Like everybody that steps up, 100% grateful for the interest they offer, and there's a whole lot of ways to stay involved, and another election coming up in the spring. So absolutely agree.
All right, so I will go ahead and request votes. Christine?
Yes.
Daisy, I will vote yes. Elizabeth?
Yes.
And Justin is not present. Ted, what would you
Yes.
vote?
I will vote yes on my motion.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, the motion is passed.
Wouldn't that be a plot twist?
Right.
No problems.
Good work, everyone. It's hard because it's a multi-dimensional question that we've been trying to approach, and I think it's and so there's a lot to think through with all of it. So good job, everyone, kind of pushing through. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we'll kind of do the business of making sure I'll connect with Frank. And again, don't include it in the newsletter or whatnot just yet, Robin, because I'll make sure I can get a hold of Frank, which will be probably tomorrow at this point. And then we'll move forward from there. I'm going to run through like just super quick with housekeeping. It would be helpful for me if you all are willing to have phone numbers just in case, and so don't share it here because it's a public meeting unless you want the public to have your phone number. But I was wondering if Daisy, would you mind creating like just a Google Doc and share it with us? And if you're not comfortable with it, no worries. But there's just been a few times where I've been like, oh, I have this quick question, for Justin or whatever, Ted sent me his phone number, and so I've been able to like connect with Ted if I need to or whatnot. So it just might be helpful. So that's just one thing. Another is to check your board emails as when you can regularly, whatever that looks like for you. Mine don't forward very well to my Gmail account. It's odd. Like, I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but like I have forwarding set up, but it doesn't really come to my account. But whatever it might look like for you, just to be checking emails every now and then, because every now and then I might email out like a request for a response and there's a delay. So that's just kind of like a housekeeping item. We'll defer committees as ownership more so and talk about that later. We'll defer goals also. So maybe by the end of the school year, we'll kind of decide on our goals. But I think our discussion last month was awesome on goals. And I typed up like what they could look like. I chatted with them briefly with Robin. And so they're kind of in the appendix of the agenda also. So take a look at them and we can, talk through it probably quickly next week. One that Robin brought up just to talk about really briefly when she and I were meeting was just the need for a pipeline for Montessori teachers, just because it takes like a specific education, to be able to be trained in Montessori. And Robin, next meeting, maybe you could talk more about what that looks like or how the board could support in that. But I thought that was a great call out also. And those are my housekeeping. Those are my quick housekeeping things. Go ahead, Robin, did you have something?
I just, before we get off, like key points from the meeting, if you just give me 3, I'll type them in right now and we don't even have to deal with it later.
Key points for the meeting. All right, guys, what do you got? We talked about safety. And so maybe it's like, like something about how like the board, of course, has like the, like shares. I don't know if we want to say anything about like, I don't know about
Confidence in the district's safety
yeah,
plans.
like yeah. And we also like shared, so confidence in the district safety plan, and also like have the, utmost, not respect. If anyone has thought any words left in your brain,
I
today,
think
let
you're
me know.
trying to use too many words. I think we can just say reviewed district and school safety and we'll,
Okay,
I don't think we
good.
need too many words.
It's a priority. Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuing to review like the, you know, financial goals and continue to increase the like fiscal like strength and longevity of the school, and board, I don't know, board size.
Board is always reviewing to right size
Um,
boards to ensure proper operations oversight of the school.
Can we just say expanded board size to optimize board operations?
It's hard to
We
open.
say something like that?
Yes.
I was just
Yes,
coming over
absolutely.
You got it, Robin. Sounds good.
Nailed it.
Beautiful wordsmithing.
And you want me to say to ensure fiscal, what'd you say, longevity?
Yeah, well, thinking about like the need for the reserves at a certain length, strength, I don't know.
Fiscal.
And so that we don't keep running 3 months behind, do we have a quick second to vote and approve meeting minutes?
Thanks. I missed that on the agenda. Did I miss that on? No.
That's why I added myself a note. I considered it housekeeping.
Okay, here, I hate to ask this, but I'm going to because I missed it on the agenda. Can we vote on it?
I think so.
I mean, it's not like material actions or anything.
Okay, cool. Let's do it then. Let's do it.
Okay. I propose that we vote on the meeting minutes from August 20th and September 4th.
Second. Or approved. Yes. Approved.
Thank you, Ted. Christine?
Sorry, brushing teeth. Yes.
I approve. Elizabeth?
Yes.
Thank you. Justin absent. Ted?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Blessings upon you all.
Thanks, Daisy, for staying up on that. Okay, good work, everyone. Sarah, thanks for hanging out during your first meeting. Glad to have you here. Glad to have all of you here. Go ahead, Ted. Did you have something?
Yeah, Elizabeth has a question in chat. Sarah, do you have everything you need to get sworn in, or do we have, was that done yet, or do we have the document?
Yeah, good question. We have Sarah's document. Is there an official like swear-in process?
No, I think at that point. So you're eligible to vote then. I mean,
What's that?
eligible to vote in the building. I didn't want to.
I still didn't catch
You're the
it.
president. You gotta do
It's
this
good
right.
vote on not minutes. Doesn't matter. You're sworn in. Awesome. Cool. Welcome to the board.
Okay. When she signed the document, I don't know. I was like, is there an official, like, do we repeat? Do we need to do that?
No, I just want to make sure that the documentation had been taken care of and all of that.
Thank
so.
you. I don't know, actually. So if I'm missing something, please let me know.
Christine, you and Robin have to sign the document. I forwarded it to you. And then there is something, Tom, do you remember what we signed? We had to sign something there.
Remember, they were very lengthy.
And that
And I
fun
remember
swearing
signing
in
them.
process. Or we felt like we were back in church.
Okay, well, so maybe we'll make sure we get, we'll figure out whatever the additional documents are for both Sarah and then Frank, should he choose to accept. Good. Okay. Thanks, everyone. I think our next board meeting might be in person. But I'll double, yeah.
I gotcha.
On October 15th, I think.
Is it? Okay.
1 minute if the computer will load. In person, North Building, yep.
Good. Great to be with you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I officially adjourn this meeting.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
You.